EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Research shows that 3.5% of adults from the ages of 18 and older goes through emotional distress in one shape or form on a daily basis. That is outrageous. Today, we are going to be talking to you about the science of emotional freedom, overcoming self-doubt, and developing a growth mindset. And here with me is Sophia, and we are going to get into it together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Proverbial Mind podcast. This is your host again, Samuel Oladeji. If you're here for the first time, do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Hello, Sophia. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you? I am good, Samuel, and thank you for inviting me on your show. It's an honor to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much. Could you give us a brief introduction about yourself and what EFT is?
Sure. So I come from the corporate world. I worked in medicine. I have a master's in epidemiology, and I was a network engineer. And just like everybody else, I reached a point where I was not happy with my life and I was exhausted climbing up the corporate ladder. And along the way, since I was highly stressed, I ended up being in a situation where I had a life-threatening condition. And at that point, I decided, because I always kind of knew things don't happen overnight, and the body has its innate ability to heal. And that's what turned me towards EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. How does it work? Well, it's a combination, it's an energy modality. It's a combination of cognitive psychotherapy and tapping on the body's meridians where we use for acupuncture. So acupuncture without needles, because it is believed that these patterns we have is stuck, unprocessed chemistry or energy that we have in the body. So every time we have an emotion, when we do not feel it, that emotion gets stored as chemistry. So the limbic brain produces the emotions, and when we don't feel it because it has information in it, that gets stored for later on for us to process. And when we've gone most of our lives, which we have, not feeling our emotions, then the energies become blocked.
So, how then does this translate into causing distress? Now, I understand that the other time we had conversation, you said emotion is basically energy in motion. And being an engineering student in the past, I understand very much well how what energy does and how it's the ability to get work done and stuff like that. So, could you share more light on that aspect?
Yes, so emotions are energy in motion, and it's information for something we need to do. For example, let's say you are trying to, let's say you heard some noise in the middle of the night. You're in deep sleep, and all of us will have the same reaction, right? So we wake up, all of a sudden you heard noise in the kitchen, you go and then check the situation. If you fully process the emotion right then and there's nothing, it alerted you, right? So there was a bodily sensation that woke you up in the middle of the street to check it. And let's assume you found out it's the cat. And you say, you have a relief, you feel, the anxiety came in, you felt it, you're done. That emotion is done.
Right.
But let's now assume you start complaining, and this darn cat did this, and I can't believe I have a cat, and It woke me up, and this is not the first time. So now you're adding feelings and you're judging that experience. So that's going to stay, that's a simple, non-traumatic scenario where energy is going to get stuck in the body. And if you do that 5 or 6 times, and the cat has done that 5 or 6 times, you're going to end up hating that cat, right? And the cat doesn't know any better. But let's assume you are a 5-year-old and you witness something very traumatic. So you either see your mother being hit or something's happening, right? So obviously you're 5 years old. You cannot fully process the situation. You don't have the proper brain waves, but instinctually, you know not to speak up because it could be you next.
Right.
Right? That emotion was not felt. That emotion is going to stay in the body till the person goes back and releases it. So that was a protective message that the child got. Don't speak up. But what happens every time we have that experience, something similar, as grown-ups, now we don't speak up. But I am not the 5-year-old anymore. So that's how we end up having limiting beliefs. And that emotion needs to be processed. Perhaps it's grief and you don't feel like crying or you don't want to cry anymore. That's going to get stuck in the body.
That is very insightful. Now, what I understand is we give attention to these emotions by replaying the event in our heads over and over again. And since the mind cannot differentiate what is reality and what is past, it makes it appear like it is the situation is happening right there again. But since we are not able to process it, it then stores up and stores up and stores up, which sometimes comes out as anxiety, anger, frustration, because there is something in there that is fighting to get out, but you keep forcing it to stay in there.
That is you're very correct. You got that. But the problem is when we keep on replaying it in our head, we keep on re-traumatizing ourselves and we're creating stronger neural connections, and it's going to make it harder for us to let it go, which is why EFT is very good. We only address the emotion and we
Right.
don't want you to relive that experience. So if you have 5 or 6 traumatic memories, and the majority of us have had those, now those define your experience. Perhaps your mother judged you when you were young, and the automatic belief the child has is she doesn't love me, right?
Right.
She may have judged you because she was having a bad day,
Mhm.
or she had made a comment that wasn't for you, but you're not evolved yet to know it was for someone else. I'll give you a classic example. A little child goes up to their dad to say, "Here's my wonderful
Mhm.
painting." And the dad is watching football. So all of a sudden, his team loses and he gets all hyped up, but you're going in at the same moment and he's upset and angry. You associate the anger that he didn't like your picture that you drew, but he was focused on the TV channel. And you are only 5 years old and you're not fully grasping. Maybe you're 4. And now you go in life not wanting to become a painter. Let's say that was your desire, because you assume everybody is going to turn you down.
Right. Hmm. That brings me to the idea of interpreting others people emotion and reaction, to our life. Because as you said now, that little child, the father was actually going through something else,
Right.
right? And based on his reaction to the child, she believed or he believes that the father was being judgmental to her, at that point. So now, how do we address these situations of understanding that sometimes people's action or reaction is not as a result of our own action or is not a defining factor of who we are, because these are the things that get stored into our heads and start creating all that trauma and all that.
So traumatic memories are not processed properly. They're not time-stamped correctly. So they could have been a series of events right there that she omitted because remember, the mind is recording everything and the
Right.
body is the subconscious mind. So when you go back with EFT to address that memory, the memory, once it loses its emotional charge, gets time-stamped properly and more information comes in. Maybe at that moment she remembers, oh my goodness, my dad was a fanatic, watched football, and he was upset at the TV set, and that's called a cognitive shift. And now that story collapses. So it's the ego personality and the improper of time stamping of these memories that cause what we call the trauma capsule. And once we process the emotion and the image gets reprocessed correctly, now it gets stored as low definition in your neocortex, and it's not going to be something that's going to trigger you anymore. It does require some steps, but it is possible. And that's how we change those experiences.
That's powerful. That draws me to, there's something in my engineering class that talks about OBD2. So this is the computer in your car that gets you to actually scan information that has been stored in the car's memory. Whenever your engines or car has issues, it generates a diagnostic code and stores it in that car memory. And for you to read that, you plug in a device that we call OBD2 that helps you to read it on board diagnostic, tool. So usually sometimes some codes that flare up in the system are due to just minor malfunctions, and they are not a major problem. They are just malfunctions that only happen once in a blue moon. Maybe the something happened, there was an incomplete combustion and it caused an unpredictable behavior to the engine. It can just send that code to your computer and the car start acting up, whereas there's absolutely no issue. It was just a malfunction. That's powerful.
Yes, now let's take that further. Excellent example. So let's say it's fear, right? So every time you take your car, well, in the beginning when you got it, the alarm will go off and it will say uh, low gas. So
Right.
you look, you fix it. But you've been driving the car, you didn't
Mhm.
process a lot of emotions along the way,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it's 10 years later, you still have the car and you turn the car and it says no gas. Yet you look at the dashboard and you also remember you put in gas yesterday. So the same thing happens in the body
Mhm.
when it has the alarm, the fear or the anxiety alarm, right? There was a
Mhm.
cross wiring because there were so many emotions
Right.
that we did not process. Now the body's alarm system has gone on. But as you did with the car and go and double check it, we need to double check, is this belief
True.
valid? If I'm having anxiety and panic right now, am I safe this very moment? So when we stop in being present and we keep on challenging the personality, eventually the alarm system is going to get corrected.
Right.
And I think it's so automatic that we never think to check. As soon as we feel that sensation in the body, we're already full blown anxiety. Now, what they did find out, people who have panic attacks, and most people don't know that, is they think the panic attack started a few minutes ago or just right then and there. Apparently, research has indicated the panic attack started an hour earlier, but we were disconnected from our bodies because we disconnect from those bodily sensations till they become huge that we weren't picking it up.
That's powerful. And that brings me to the understanding that the event that happens right now is not something that actually started right now. It's an accumulation of datas and datas and datas over time. And then it becomes a whole new, and they call it stronghold. It becomes a whole new stronghold in your mind. And then it's beginning to manipulate all your functions and everything that you do.
You hit that one on the nail.
Awesome. So now, how do we actually then practice this EFT?
Okay, so we come up with, I'll give you the formula so everybody knows the formula. So, and then I will show the point. So we create a sentence. Pretty much we want to express what it is that we're feeling, right? So we check with ourselves and let's say it's anger. So you know the emotion of anger, you check where it is in the body because each person holds it at a different place. Even though there's some organs that hold anger more, each person is different. So it's anger in my gut. I measure the intensity. So I do that so I can retrain my brain. So
Right.
I feel it's 8, and so from 1 to 10, it's an 8. Now let's create the sentence. So we have the emotion, we have the body part, we have its intensity. Now we need to address what is the event or the belief that's causing this anger. Well, I'm angry because John just canceled our meeting for today.
Mhm.
And he didn't tell me till last minute, right? And he's done it many times before. So that's my event. So the event always has to be in the present moment. Now we are going to add something of positive polarity at the end of the sentence. So I deeply and completely accept myself. I'm open to feeling this emotion. I'm open to see things differently. I choose to let it go. Whatever positive you want to do as a reframe. So, how do we tap? We have several body parts. We always start of the side of the hand because this changes the polarity, and we're going to do our sentence 3 times here. We have the top of the head, we have the side of the eyes, between the eyes, under the eyes, under the nose, on the chin, under the arm, and under the breast. And we have the wrist because there's many meridians here and the top of the wrist. So I'll make now the sentence. So I'm angry at John because he canceled last minute and it's an 8 and I feel it in my gut. Even though, so we start with even though. Why do I start with even though? Because words are powerful and I don't
Definitely.
want that to stick permanently in my reality. So even though I'm angry at John because he canceled on me again last minute, this is the 5th time he has canceled. I I accept this is what I'm feeling for right now. So we do it twice more, even though I am so angry at John. He did it again. I, I blocked time for him and he canceled, and I have this anger in my gut. I can't believe he disrespects me. I can't believe he does that. I'm just saying whatever it is that I'm feeling, right?
Right.
And I'm open to seeing things differently. And even though there's this anger and I feel it in my gut, I am tired of being canceled last minute from John. I choose to find another way to deal with him at this point, and I'm open to feeling what I'm feeling. This anger in my gut, and we continue with the body parts, this anger in my gut. Eventually, when we do 2 or 3 rounds, everybody notices just because you're expressing it.
Mhm.
And we express it in the session. We do not call the person and start doing this. We express it when we're tapping, right? We don't attack someone else. You will see it's going to go down. And maybe the decision I make is he has to confirm the day before and he has to prepay. Let's say it's a session, it has to be prepaid. So that way, if he doesn't show up, I didn't lose money. Whatever it is that the information is doing. So by us expressing this anger, which is beta brain waves, and by tapping, because tapping makes you feel present and safe. If there was a tiger there, you wouldn't be tapping,
Mhm.
right? So it makes you feel safe because anger usually shifts you into beta brain waves and you can get really boiled up, right? So it reduces the intensity and eventually you let go, the emotion moves through you. So that's our job, to allow the emotion where you say, okay, I'm just going to make a decision, or maybe I won't let John schedule any appointments, whatever it is. Or maybe I remember he just lost his wife and he can't remember his schedule. Whatever the situation is, I want to be at peace. It's about me being at peace and finding a way to cope with a situation that's not harming my health.
That is a powerful process, actually. It is indeed a science, as the episode title says, because it's not just only about interaction where you just talk with words. You actually engage your body. And when
That's
you engage in your body, it's like you're moving friction. And so because of that friction, it causes molecules to move all around your body and like energies and stuff, they move around. And this, I believe, from my scientific understanding knowledge, can deactivate those energies and can alter their polarity and then basically discharge you and all that emotions that you got going on
That's
within
what
you.
we're doing. It's like a hammer, right? It has a piezoelectric effect. The
Right.
hammer is tapping, it's going to cause a spark inside.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I do want to add, which is going to make the tapping more effective. So, we have consciousness, and belly breathing is our higher consciousness, is our spirit consciousness. So, when we breathe in the belly and we put our awareness where the emotion is, it's like a light on the emotion. We eventually dissolve that energy because we're using our own consciousness to dissolve it. So a lot of people go on tapping and they don't want to connect with where the body part is because it feels uncomfortable.
Right.
Research has indicated that when we feel the emotion without judging it and without wanting it to go away, it
Mm-hmm.
actually will leave in 90 seconds.
Mm.
It's when we don't want the emotion and we have a judgment on it that the emotion is going to stay. So that energy, that tightness is going to resolve if we allow it and scan around. Okay, I have this tightness, I am safe right now. Let it breathe into it, put your awareness, because belly breathing always makes you feel safe. When you breathe to your chest, you're probably very anxious, and that's why most people who have panic attacks do
Mm.
very shallow breathing. So we want to engage also consciously our body to help us with the tapping process so the energy leaves us.
That reminds me of a book I read. It said it's the mind of the leader. It talks about this meditation process, trying to help you understand that your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts just flow around your head many times. The research shows that more than 40 thoughts goes through a person's mind in a day that you don't even know. You're not the one that initiated them, they just come. And I tried practicing that. I sat down, I did the breath, you start with the breath, taking like 3 deep breaths in and out, and then you just let your mind flow like water. Like Bruce Lee say, flow like water. If you put water in a cup, it's going to assume the shape of the cup. So you let your mind flow. You let release your body. Just let it flow like water. And then you start imagining that you start realizing thoughts start flowing to your head. But the moment you don't give those thoughts any attention, you just let them come and do their thing. Don't try to fight them. Don't try to say, oh, get out of mind, I don't want you. No, just let it go. Don't even pay attention to it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it is there, but don't give it any attention, because what you focus on, the law of focus, is going to grow. The moment you're trying to fight something out of your mind, you're giving it attention. And as a result, instead of it going away, it's going to want to stay. It's going to want to fight back, to gain ground in your mind. But the moment you totally ignore it, it's going to go because you're not giving it attention. So I practiced that and I realized that since I did not pay attention to this thought, within split of seconds, they vanished. I don't even know how. They just came and went out, came and went out. But the moment I tried to fight it, it kept terrorizing my mind, kept terrorizing my mind.
That's correct. You hit some important. So thoughts are electric.
Mm.
So by you not engaging with them, you're draining their electrical charge,
Mm.
right? It's like unplugging a computer.
Right.
There's a delay
mm,
with the let's say you're unplugging your monitor.
mm,
You unplugged it, it doesn't instantly go out. It's like
right.
a millisecond late. Well, the same thing happens.
Mm-hmm,
And certain thoughts are a little harder to dim out,
mm-hmm,
but you're also pruning the synaptic connections between them because every time you think the same way, chemistry gets produced and an electrical charge goes through. Now, emotions are magnetic, which is why emotions draw events to you.
right.
But if you have fear, then there's going to be many fearful situations that you're going to attract because a magnet always draws things to you.
Right. That's powerful. Isn't it amazing that the human body is such a magnificent piece of engineering?
Mhm. It is.
And all the science and everything that goes into it. I was studying something and I found that the human DNA is one of the most sophisticated lines of code that ever exist. I think I found that was it 3,000, 3+ billion lines of codes? I was blown away. I saw somebody that built this robotic arm in Africa, and it's something that he did at home in his village. And I was so amazed that he was actually controlling this robotic arm with his mind. He just kept some stuff on his head, and as he was thinking, so was the arm moving. So if he thought to take water, just like how you think of drinking water and you initiate the move, that was how it was happening. I was blown. I'm like, really? That tells you that the body is an electrical system.
It
No
is.
doubt.
It's a battery. That's why when you first die, the very first moment, they put two paddles to resuscitate you, right? To put back an electrical charge in the heart.
Right,
So, and we also need salt, which is a saline solution, right? Which is a good conductor,
right.
the electrical charge, just like a battery has two poles in it and
Mhm.
the fluid in
And that's
there.
right. Yeah. Electron
And we
flow.
need to, yeah, and we need the spark. So you are a very advanced piece of battery with software and hardware running in it.
Right. So if you were to summarize the whole EFT, how would you summarize it in a technical order, step by step?
In a technical order,
In an order, basically a practical guide that could be followed. So, for example, I'm thinking the sign of engineering here now, having bullet points of what to do, basically.
well, the first thing you should do is always do to your best of your ability on a regular basis, checking inside with your body.
Mm,
So when we are busy out there, either searching on the internet or scrolling on social media, there is a bodily sensation that's causing us to do that. So check with your body and ask yourself what it is that I'm feeling. Where is it that I'm feeling? And what is its intensity? And what is the event? And decide how you want to reframe it. Something positive. Maybe you just want to acknowledge that you're angry. That's it. I acknowledge this is what I'm feeling. Nothing special. And keep on tapping. And that will be regularly just doing that for 20 minutes every day. And even if you didn't know what words to
mm,
say, just the physical act of tapping of 20 minutes every day will start moving stuck energy. It's like turning on the electrical charge to light up a building, right? So it's
right,
going to start slowly moving it out. You're going to create more awareness and you're going to reach a higher level of peace. Because what we're doing is, since you are in physics, energy can never be created or destroyed.
right,
We can transmute it, right? So we can
right,
transmute anger into courage,
right. And trust.
fear into, that's correct. So if you want to strive in your life, we need the least amount of entropy in the body. And the emotions have been calibrated. So there's the maps of consciousness that anything below 200 is life depleting. Anything above 200 supports life. And when we in the state of joy or unconditional love, our life is in flow, and there's spontaneous healing in the body.
That is it, guys. First of all, identify your behavior. Why are you acting the way you're acting? Identify your emotions. Identify the cause of it. And then reframe it in a positive way. And then do the tapping system. 20 minutes in a day, you can do that. And once you practice these things consistently, you realize that those stuck emotions and energies in your body will express themselves and go and leave you. Don't fight it, let it flow like water, just flow freely. And that is it, guys, on the science of emotional freedom. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed this conversation and I had great insight from it. So thank you so much, Sophia, for coming here today and sharing this knowledge with us.
Thank you for the invite. And I want to leave 2 points with your audience. No matter where you are, there's always another better situation you can be.
Right.
And as for how tapping works, there is scientific evidence, and we do know it resets the amygdala, the fear in the amygdala, and the hippocampus. So if you have trauma, we have done fMRIs, which are functional MRIs, and we know
Hmm.
they can live. And if any of the individuals who follow this show want some information, they're welcome to come to my website to check it out.
Sounds good. And how can we find your website?
It's tapintourbestself.com. And I offer a 30-minute complimentary session so we can discuss what your needs are. I also teach a masterclass, Change Your Mind, Create New Results.
Hmm.
And they can find me anywhere on social media with the handle Tap Into Your Best Self or .org, or just Tap Into Your Best Self, both on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Sounds great. All right, guys, if you're here for the first time, do not forget to subscribe. Hit notification button and like the video. Share to your loved ones. This is a very powerful insight on how you can free your emotion and finally have that freedom from that trauma or that anger that it is that you have, or that person that pisses you off. You can finally get a freedom from that and have internal peace. If you want to reach out to us as proverbialminds@gmail.com. And if you're an entrepreneur out there and you're running a business, you're having challenge with growing your business, you're having challenge with onboarding people, clients, or with your employees, we have a partnership with one of our guest who was on this podcast before, who is offering you an opportunity to learn and to solve your problems with your company, with your business, and to grow into a big multi-million dollar, seven-figure enterprise, whatever it is that your goal is. They are here to help you. So we're going to attach the link to that affiliate in this video comment section so you can click that and get the solutions you need. Until the next one, peace out, guys.